Believing in the devil is really about the same as believing in God, if you think about it. Both of these are mythical characters that nobody's ever seen. That there's no proof exists either way. So saying, well, I don't believe there's a devil and there's a hell, you could also say, I don't believe there's a God and a heaven.
Michael Jai White is not a martial arts actor. He is a real fighter, a man who holds black belts in 7 disciplines, a warrior who stood in the dojo long before he ever stood in front of a camera. He is dangerous in a way Hollywood cannot control. Real muscle, real skills, real backbone. Hollywood never wants a truly powerful black man to dominate the spotlight for too long. They want someone easy to control, a criminal, a clown, a ridiculous sidekick. Michael refused to bow his head. And that was when the real enemies appeared. Today at 58, he has nothing left to lose and nothing left to fear. For the first time, Michael Jai White names the 7 most dangerous shadows in Hollywood that changed his life. 7 names, 7 forces. Some of them are legendary action stars. Some of them even fought beside him on screen. And the last name, more dangerous and ruthless than all the others. They do not use fists. They use power to manipulate the truth. Do not look away, because the truth has only begun. Exposing the punch. Michael Jai White and the battle to take down the Steven Seagal myth. Steven Seagal, one of the most iconic martial arts stars of the 80s and 90s. Seagal was seen as the martial arts king who brought Aikido into Western action cinema, dominating the big screen with films like Above the Law, Hard to Kill Out for Justice, and Under Siege. But beneath that shiny exterior was a crack. A whisper of doubt that spread quietly through the community of real martial artists. And the one who dared to rip open that velvet curtain was none other than Michael Jai White. For many viewers, Seagal's punches and moves on screen might look like strength, discipline, and authority. But to Michael Jai White, they are nothing more than movie martial arts, and he does not hesitate to say it. White calls out Seagal for not being able to fight for real. Michael Jai White is an actor, but first and foremost, he is a fighter. He was the first to play a leading live-action superhero from DC Comics on the big screen Spawn, and a master of many styles from Shotokan karate and taekwondo to wushu and kickboxing. He has absolute respect for martial arts. So when Steven Seagal invited him 3 times to join on Deadly Ground 1994, one of Seagal's first director-led and highly personal projects, White didn't hesitate to decline. Seagal invited me 3 times. When I turned him down, he went silent. But don't forget, he has never taken a real punch to the face from a real fighter. His Aikido with all those sunglasses and mystery is just fake martial arts. White recalled his tone mixed with disdain and regret. 3 invitations, 3 rejections, and White's resolve left Seagal speechless. According to White, when he declined, Seagal immediately turned away and tried to push a back door for someone else to take the part. To White, this wasn't just Hollywood being unprofessional. This was the reaction of a star not used to being refused someone too accustomed to the world revolving around him. But the real problem wasn't personal conflict. What infuriated White most was how Seagal used his fame to paint a version of martial arts that, according to White, doesn't exist in reality. White openly said, "Many Hollywood martial arts stars, including Seagal, like to hit stuntmen for real, just to show superiority. But when they face someone real, someone who can hit back, suddenly they become unusually polite. If you only punch people who can't fight back, are you truly dangerous? Or are you just a bully in sunglasses?" That's the question White once asked. Hollywood, where reputation equals box office money, survives by maintaining legends. Steven Seagal is a money-making machine, built on the image of an undefeated martial arts hero. When Michael Jai White publicly exposed this truth, he wasn't just challenging Seagal, he was challenging the entire system that created Seagal. Seagal's on-set behavior has been criticized for years. Many former and current stunt performers have spoken up about Seagal doing full-contact hits during filming, causing injuries, and showing disrespect to fellow performers. As a fighter actor, White refuses to accept that. He believes he has a duty to protect the integrity of martial arts and defend the stunt performers who work silently in the background. In White's eyes, glorifying Seagal is a prolonged deception against true martial arts fans. They believe those joint locks and cinematic punches are real techniques, but they are nothing more than lighting cuts and choreography. This conflict isn't just one clash then done. White emphasizes, it is a long fight between what Hollywood wants people to believe and what a real fighter knows is true. Steven Seagal may continue holding on to his legendary status with the dark shades and the mystique of Aikido. He may continue being a hero in carefully choreographed movies. But thanks to Michael Jai White, a seed of doubt has been planted in the audience's mind. Behind that unbeatable exterior, is he just a bully with sunglasses? What do you think? But if Seagal represents quiet deception, then the next name represents a completely different kind of illusion, a fiery arrogance, bold enough to be reckless. Jean-Claude Van Damme, the arrogant challenger to true power. In the world of action films, Jean-Claude Van Damme is praised as a legend and icon. The Belgian muscles from Brussels, who stormed the box office with Bloodsport Kickboxer and a long list of hits. For years, he was the gold standard Hollywood used to determine whether an action star was the real deal. Van Damme wasn't just leading the game, he was the throne an entire generation had to look up to. But when fame and power reached the top, his ego climbed right along with them. And then one day, after 3 decades of dominance, he met a man who forced the film world to ask a new question. Who is the real fighter here? That man was Michael Jai White. Universal Soldier, Day of Reckoning. The collision between a legend and a real warrior. In 2012, Universal Soldier returned with Day of Reckoning. Michael was invited to play a mysterious and dangerous character who could actually fight. At that point, Michael Jai White was still a little-known stuntman and martial artist. Their contrast was a perfect metaphor. One was a movie-crafted star, the other a fighter forged by real combat. The tension didn't come from the script or from artistic conflicts. It came from a silent challenge. Van Damme repeatedly tried to go full contact or assert dominance over those he believed were beneath him, especially stunt performers and real fighters. Michael Jai White has repeatedly shared stories about Van Damme's unpredictable personality and arrogance during filming. Van Damme always wanted to test himself for real to prove he was still the alpha of martial arts cinema. He even proposed a test, "Fight me," for real. No jokes, no acting. According to White, Van Damme had a dangerous habit, confusing movie skills with real fighting skills. He often tried to use his cinematic techniques to intimidate or disrupt colleagues on set. Michael said Van Damme threw real kicks during filming. Punches were not choreographed. Hands flew straight toward the face. Some took it, some avoided it to protect reputation. But Michael is not the type to just stand there and take it. He said, if he wants to fight for real, I am ready. And things escalated. Van Damme kept trying to exert control to lead the fight. But Michael has fought for real his entire life. In a split-second survival reaction, Michael nearly knocked Van Damme out cold right on set. It was a shocking jolt that dragged JCVD from Hollywood illusion back into the harsh reality of combat. If Michael had thrown one more strike, no one knows what would have happened. Fortunately, or unfortunately, the crew rushed in and broke it up. After that incident, Michael delivered one brutal line: never confuse movie fighting with real fighting. Van Damme is a legend on screen. But in real life, Michael is the one who has fought to survive. That isn't an insult. It's a martial arts truth. Van Damme was used to being the #1 star in every frame. And Michael, he didn't join Universal Soldier to be anyone's background. 2 men, 2 fighters, 2 alphas in the same cage was bound to spark a territorial clash. The crew said every confrontation scene between them felt like real combat. The air was always one spark away from explosion. One was a legacy defending his throne. The other was a rising warrior proving his worth. Both wanted to stand taller. Both wanted Hollywood to fear them as the true threat. Michael respects Van Damme, and he has said that clearly. But he also understands how ego in Hollywood can consume an actor, forcing them to prove themselves at any cost. Van Damme is not a villain. He is a fighter who spent too long on the throne. And when another powerful man arrives, survival instinct makes him fight back like a beast cornered. But the clashes with Steven Seagal and Van Damme were only tension and philosophy in martial arts. There is someone far worse, someone who tried to crush White's career, erase him right on set. Wesley Snipes and the Jealous Darkness. Behind the scenes of Blade Trinity. In the early 2000s, Wesley Snipes was Blade, the beloved half-vampire hunter and one of the most iconic roles in action cinema. When the third film Blade Trinity began production, the studio expanded the universe by introducing new hunters, including Hannibal King, played by Ryan Reynolds, and especially Michael Jai White as the former vampire Harkin. The arrival of Michael Jai White with his massive physique, real martial arts mastery, and rising career immediately became an undeniable threat to Wesley Snipes. White wasn't just an actor. He was a high-level fighter, someone who already proved he could handle real combat as seen with Van Damme. Snipes, who also had martial arts experience, seemed to feel his alpha status shaking. For Michael, a man who trained and lived martial arts acting with Blade was both an honor and a milestone. But according to White, the atmosphere on set soured the moment he showed up. Rumor had it Snipes didn't want White to outshine him or steal the spotlight from the star of Blade. Snipes' behavior during Blade Trinity was described as extremely tense and uncooperative. He isolated himself, communicating mostly through notes or representatives. He rarely left his trailer unless he absolutely had to. But the worst part for Michael and the crew was that Snipes tried to stop White from shooting many action scenes. Several scenes, according to White, were toned down when they appeared together. Many moments that could have shown real combat were turned into pure choreography. To Snipes, the priority wasn't authenticity, but maintaining an untouchable image. Michael Jai White summed it up. When ego becomes bigger than the character, that's a disaster. That wasn't just true on screen. It was the whole situation between White and Snipes. On screen, Snipes was Blade the hero, the top dog. Off screen, he held power over scenes. Spotlight director decisions, stunt teams casting. White didn't join the movie to be decoration. He came to keep martial arts real to avoid being reduced to a sellable product. Snipes didn't just refuse to collaborate. He actively lowered White's presence, creating a suffocating atmosphere as tense as a psychological thriller. Two egos, one trying to keep the throne, one fighting for truth. There was no reconciliation, no more silence. White chose to expose things from the outside. In recent interviews, he hasn't hesitated to say many stars, including Snipes' live-off image more than skill. Martial arts fans, stunt performers, and audiences began to ask, is Blade truly a real fighter, or just a symbol crafted to sell tickets? According to many sources after speaking out, Hollywood became harder for White. Fewer big roles, fewer opportunities, spotlights fading. Not because he lacked skill, but because they feared losing control. The behind-the-scenes tension ultimately damaged Blade Trinity and the entire crew's experience. The film was criticized as weaker than the first two, largely due to chaos and lack of cohesion caused by Snipes. For Michael Jai White, this was a painful lesson about Hollywood's dark side. He witnessed how a talented actor let ego become a monster that devoured professionalism and sabotaged a major production. Although Wesley Snipes tried to suppress Michael Jai White, the attempt failed. White still proved himself from Blade Trinity to later fan-favorite action films like Undisputed 2: Last Man Standing and Blood and Bone. The irony is that Snipes' arrogance and unprofessional behavior led to his career slowing down, even causing legal troubles later. While Snipes declined, Michael Jai White became a symbol of professionalism, real martial arts skill, and relentless work ethic. If Wesley Snipes made things difficult on set, the next figure did it right in the middle of a glamorous New York nightclub. Tyson Beckford, The Punch. Outside and the male ego. In Hollywood, where every step tramples on someone else's shadow, male ego is a bomb ready to explode at any moment. Tyson Beckford and Michael Jai White. Two symbols of two completely different types of alpha male. One is America's #1 male model, the face of masculine fashion. The other is a real fighter, a body forged in combat, not on a runway. Both are successful black men, something that should be a shared source of pride. But Hollywood never likes two lions in the same cage. A real-life clash that brought the police in. In 2015, a confrontation at a nightclub between Michael Jai White and Tyson Beckford escalated into violence. Both were attending the same event, and the tension began with a look, then Beckford's attitude. Words were exchanged, shoving began, and fists started flying. Beckford, despite his impressive physique going toe-to-toe with White, A man trained to end a fight in seconds was impulsive and reckless. Fortunately, before Michael Jai White had to unleash his full skill set to defend himself and neutralize his opponent, which he could have done easily, police intervened. Security and law enforcement quickly separated the two men before the fight could result in serious injury for Beckford and serious legal consequences for White. Without police intervention, Beckford's punch would have come at a very heavy price. White once said, "Some people just can't handle when you show up." That's not ego. It's a warning about an invisible danger. Masculine pressure. Toxic masculinity always lurks among men in the spotlight. But there was someone who turned street fighting into a brand used directly against White. Kimbo Slice, the street fighter, challenging the movie martial artist. Some men are strong under studio lights. Some are strong because they had to fight to survive. Kimbo Slice was the second kind. A man with a beard like a Viking assassin, shoulders like a walleyes as dark as Miami's night. He didn't need to say a word for people to feel the danger. Just one stare and one punch. In the 2000s, millions of internet viewers shuddered watching his bare-knuckle brawls behind warehouses in backyards and dark alleys. No directors, no visual effects, no action, just blood breath and someone collapsing. Kimbo became a street legend before he ever stepped into MMA. And Michael Jai White black belts, dojos, discipline. To Hollywood, he was the fighter who can act. But to Michael himself, I fought for real before I ever acted real. The clash with Michael Jai White began with Kimbo Slice's public comments. Maybe pushed by online hype or simply reinforcing his dangerous image, Kimbo openly attacked Michael Jai White. He said White just dances on camera and claimed his martial arts skills were useless in a real fight on the street. This insult struck directly at the core of Michael Jai White's honor, a man who has spent his entire life studying and mastering true martial arts. To White, being judged by someone with little formal martial arts, understanding someone who relied only on raw power and street experience, was an offense he could not accept. The clash between White and Slice quickly expanded beyond personal conflict, turning into a heated debate among martial arts and movie fans. What is real fighting? As tension escalated, Michael Jai White responded to Kimbo Slice with sharp, direct words without needing to throw a punch. His response was not a challenge, but a call-out on foundations and respect. I hold black belts in multiple disciplines certified by top masters. I've shed blood on the mats for decades. And what do you have besides street fists and illegal fights? You have no structure. That's the difference between a martial artist and a brawler. White emphasized that Kimbo Slice was a phenomenon, a product of street violence, but not a representation of true martial arts mastery. The difference lies in knowing distance power, weak points, and self-control, things a real martial artist must suffer and train years to achieve. Although the two never faced each other in an official fight, White remained professional, refusing to engage in street theatrics. Their tension left behind an important lesson. Michael Jai White won not with a punch, but with legitimacy. He proved that acting in movies does not diminish his martial arts identity. On the contrary, he uses film to bring the beauty and discipline of traditional martial arts to audiences everywhere. Kimbo Slice, despite his street power, eventually had to acknowledge the value of structured training when he transitioned into MMA. This confrontation proved that legends built on temporary violence will always bow to values built on discipline and lifelong dedication. Michael Jai White isn't just a star, he's a martial artist, and that difference is non-negotiable. But White's greatest enemy wasn't fists or punches. It was the story Hollywood tried to force on him. The belief that the best belong only to the mainstream studios, and that there can only be one king of screen martial arts. And in that battle for a fictional throne, White's toughest rival turned out to be the person he respected the most, the man many call the rightful successor, Scott Adkins, successor or usurper. Scott Adkins rose fiercely in the late 2000s and 2010s, especially after the explosive success of the Undisputed series playing Yuri Boyka, the anti-hero, who became a new martial arts icon. Like White, Adkins is a highly trained martial artist, with a diverse foundation in Taekwondo, kickboxing, and judo. And he possesses impressive spinning kicks, speed, and acrobatic precision. Few can match. Over the years, international martial arts fans have been loudly waging a constant war online. Adkins is the true king of martial arts cinema, The comparison was not born from negativity or personal hostility, but from a debate about effectiveness, durability, and legacy. Adkins, the speed, the stunning technique, the relentless spirit of a new era. White, the explosive strength, traditional foundation, and powerful composure of the generation that paved the way. Their rivalry wasn't just about who gets the crown, it was about defining who leads the high-quality direct-to-video action scene, the very arena where both built their legacy. A real confrontation on screen. What makes the rivalry between White and Adkins far more fascinating than the others? They actually fought each other on screen more than once. Most notably in Undisputed 2, Last Man Standing 2006 and Triple Threat 2019. In Undisputed 2, White as Chambers and Adkins as Boyka delivered full contact-style sequences, real power, real speed, real impact. Even as actors, they threw strikes with a force and precision most Hollywood stars only fake with editing and camera tricks. White and Adkins showed absolute respect for each other's skills and professionalism. They pushed each other to the limit in physical and technical performance crafting fight scenes that felt authentic without deception, like Siegel, without toxic ego, like Snipes. This is healthy competition, where each man strives to do his best to honor the film and honor the art. They proved that cinematic martial arts can be both authentic and spectacular, erasing the boundary that Siegel tried to maintain. Although there is mutual respect, the silent race for the action throne still exists. Both want the highest recognition from fans and producers. Michael Jai White, with years of experience and the role of a pioneering black action star, has always held the mentality of a trailblazer. He laid the foundation so that true martial artists like Adkins could shine in an industry that favors easier stars. And White himself publicly praised Adkins directly without forgetting to mention his own legacy. He's good. Scott Adkins is a fantastic martial artist and a talented actor. But I paved the way first. Michael Jai White is not just an actor, he is a champion of truth. And that truth is his unshakable throne. Michael Jai White has faced powerful enemies both on screen and in real life, Steven Seagal. With fraudulent Aikido, Jean-Claude Van Damme, with aggressive arrogance. But White's most dangerous opponent does not use fists, does not appear on movie posters, and cannot be defeated with a spinning kick. That is the Gatekeepers, the invisible power. Michael Jai White and the war against Hollywood's hidden bosses. In every Hollywood success story, there is always a layer of invisible power. Producers casting directors, studio executives, PR agents. The behind-the-scenes network. The ones who decide who gets on the poster, who stands in the spotlight, who exists, and who disappears in silence. That is, the gatekeepers. Not famous, never in front of the camera, but holding every important decision. Leading roles, spotlight promotion, international opportunities. They are the ones controlling stories and opportunities in Hollywood. The ones who want to twist the image of a strong, disciplined, and intelligent black man. This is the harshest shadow war aiming to destroy true black masculinity. Michael Jai White has publicly exposed a harsh truth in the film industry. Hollywood carries a silent fear toward the image of a complete black man. A man physically powerful, intelligent, calm, and self-driven. In a filmmaking culture, where black men are often limited to stereotypes such as criminals, class clowns, or side characters without depth, White's appearance is a threat. He is not only a muscular actor, he is a martial artist. With philosophy, a man who speaks well and is well educated. They fear the image of a black man with real power. Not violent power, but the power of self-control, discipline, and intellect, White explained. According to White, studios and producers want to control the image of strong black men. If they must show a large black man, he must be a clown in comedy, or a criminal chalk gangster in crime films. These images are easy to control and do not threaten traditional power. Michael Jai White, as a martial artist and an artist, refused to compromise with these toxic molds. He refused to play meaningless criminals or comedic clowns. Hollywood did not accept that refusal. He shared that he received many major opportunities, but they always came with conditions he must distort his own image. When he stood firm and accepted only respectful, meaningful roles, such as Spawn, a black superhero, the gatekeepers retaliated by taking opportunities away. Being blackballed is a silent, yet brutally effective punishment. When an actor is blackballed, major projects suddenly vanish, studio calls slow to a stop, and their career gets pushed into a cycle of lower-budget films and smaller forgettable roles. This punishment isn't about creative differences. It's a calculated effort to weaken White's image and career for daring to fight back against Hollywood's control over the narrative of black identity. A breakthrough role in Undisputed 2. Fortunately, Michael Jai White found another stage to show his talent and his true image: the direct-to-video action arena. Here, through his role as Chambers in Undisputed 2, Last Man Standing, White demonstrated everything mainstream Hollywood feared: ultimate power combined with intelligence, discipline, and dignity. As Chambers, White was not a soulless criminal or a clown. He was a champion set up, forced to use his mind and skills to survive. It was the perfect role to fight back against the gatekeepers. He proved audiences truly want to see a strong and admirable black man. White's success in the DTV world became his biggest counterattack against the hidden bosses. He proved he didn't need their approval to build a successful, meaningful career that audiences would naturally come to authenticity. Michael Jai White's battle against the gatekeepers is not a story of punches, but a war of representation. It is reclaiming control of his own image from those who want to distort it for convenience or racial insecurity. White ended his victories not only by overcoming Siegel, Van Damme, and Snipes, but by surviving and rising stronger after Hollywood attempted to erase him. He became living proof that honesty, skill, and dignity will always find their path even when facing the most hidden and dangerous powers. A warrior unbroken and the battle for legacy. We have witnessed the battles Michael Jai White has gone through. He fights not only with muscle, but with mind composure and commitment to truth. He exposed Steven Seagal and fraudulent Aikido. He gave Jean-Claude Van Damme a painful lesson in real fighting. He overcame Wesley Snipes' attempt to sabotage his career on set. He avoided Tyson Beckford's nightclub punch with complete self-control. He defended martial arts legitimacy against Kimbo Slice and Street Power. He competed professionally with Scott Adkins to elevate the genre. But most importantly, Michael Jai White survived and grew stronger after being punished by the gatekeepers, Hollywood's hidden bosses. The greatest enemy is not the punch. The greatest enemy is the story Hollywood tried to force on him, a limited, toxic story that distorts real black masculinity. At 58, Michael Jai White still stands strong, like a pillar of truth and discipline. He refuses to let producers turn him into a clown or a criminal. He refuses to let them tell the wrong story about his life and skills. He fights not only for himself, but for the next generation. If I stay silent, if I accept playing a clown or a criminal, the worst will happen to the next generation. They will have no image other than those toxic stereotypes. Michael Jai White is a warrior of dignity, a trailblazer who proved that you can possess destructive power, but discipline and intellect are the ultimate weapons. He is a living legend not because of the kicks on screen, but because he dared to challenge an entire system. The current life of Michael Jai White, wisdom family, and a media empire. Michael Jai White is not just an action star or a martial artist. In his 50s, he has transformed himself into a media entrepreneur, a social advocate, and a symbol of a disciplined lifestyle. He married actress and martial artist Gillian White, formerly Gillian Ileana Waters, in 2015. Gillian is not only his life partner, but also his business and training partner, often appearing alongside him in film projects and media content. Their marriage is admired by the public for the way they support each other both professionally and personally. Michael Jai White is a responsible father. He has a total of 6 children, including his wife's children and their children together. Something he often proudly mentions in interviews, emphasizing the importance of fatherhood in his life. He and his family currently live mainly in California, USA, which is convenient for his film and business activities. Even as a trailblazer for the action genre, Michael Jai White has never stopped working. One of his most notable projects is the action comedy The Outlaw Johnny Black, 2023, where he stars, directs, and co-writes. The film showcases White's ability to create his own opportunities and break free from Hollywood's control. He frequently appears on podcasts and YouTube channels to share his martial arts philosophy, life experiences, and especially Hollywood behind-the-scenes stories, where he openly calls out other stars, drawing huge audiences. Michael Jai White's net worth is often estimated around $3.5 to $5 million USD. Today, Michael Jai White is not just an action machine, but a family man and a sharp businessman who is taking full control of his own narrative and building a legacy far beyond the box office. Our story about Michael Jai White pauses here, but Hollywood's dark secrets are far from over. Who do you want us to expose next? A fallen legend, a jealous star, or a hidden puppet master of the industry? Like and subscribe now, so you won't miss the next deep and dramatic dossiers.
All data, analysis, and commentary in this video are presented based on information available at the time of production. The content is subject to change over time and should not be considered a definitive forecast.
There is still so much more to explore: stories of resilience, legacy, and truth. Feel free to dive into some of our top recommended videos now appearing on the screen.